Welcome to Passion Time. I'm Patricia Gross, and I'm here with Linke. She's been a family therapist for 35 years, also an astrologer. And today we're going to talk about toxic people and what to do about them. But first, I'm going to ask you the question that we all should be asking ourselves, and that is, what do you have to do to live your passion?
Well, first of all, you have to know who you are and feel your energy as you approach different things in your life. If you go toward things and you get excited and it flows, that's probably your passion.
Okay.
The other thing I would say about that is pay attention to who you admire, because they're probably doing some of your passion. Pay attention to who you're jealous of, because that's who you really are and you don't believe it yet.
Oh, wow.
The other thing I would say to you is that if you have a spiritual practice, so your life will be adjusted not by your ego, but by your deeper self, you will make all the mistakes that will lead you to your passion. And I always tell people, Tom Brown has a tracking school in New Jersey, and he writes books called The Tracker. So to me, every day I wake up and I say, I'm listening. Any messages for me? I'm going to track my life. This is my goal in life. If you want to know what I'm supposed to do, just look at what happens. If I go toward it and the door opens and it's easily growing, it's yes.
It's kind of easy, effortless, and fun when you're living your passion.
And I always say, if it's not supposed to be, show me. Give me a sign, because I believe the life that we live is symbolic. And those are balls that are thrown to us, and we're supposed to catch them and move toward them.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk about the people that we don't want around in our lives, and we don't tend to know how to deal with them. And that's, for example, narcissistic people.
Well, that's everybody at the age of 2 and again at puberty. So I think the important thing to realize is narcissism is a stage. It's about me, mine. You can't tell me I know everything. And so what we know is that when people have not chosen to grow and develop, they regress or remain at that stage of me, mine, no. And what we know is it means there's no empathy and there's no ability to put yourself in the other person's position. So it's all about, what can you do for me and how can I get what I want? And I was very lucky in graduate school because Dr. Masterson wrote all the textbooks, and I was able to study his material directly. And so what he said is, remember, a narcissist has only one commodity to trade, and that's money, power, position, and material goods, because they have no kindness, compassion, understanding. And he said, and they're untreatable. And I went, good. So when you got one, get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
And my granddaughters were little girls, and I said, I've got to teach them about narcissism. So I explained all this to them. And they said, oh, that's Uncle so-and-so, that's so-and-so, and I said, that's right. And you need to avoid those people. Now, the funny part of the story is some years ago, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual was being redone, and people said, we should just take narcissistic character disorder out of the manual because 1 out of every 2 people is there.
That's what I was going to ask you, because you said 1 out of 2 Americans, well, not Americans, everybody, right?
Well, no, I
think
it's very American. It's the me generation. And it's like the young people are just given everything and they don't have to do anything for it, so they don't struggle. They don't learn anything about themselves.
They don't suffer, so they
I don't think you have to suffer. I think you just have to learn. I'm not a big sufferer. I
Okay.
don't believe in suffering.
Okay.
And, so when you're getting around these people, the tendency is to want to try to change them or to think you did something.
Right.
You didn't do anything. That's who they decided to quit growing as. And so what you have to say to yourself is, don't be open with them. Don't tell them things about yourself. Ask them about themselves. Listen. And realize that they're the only one in the room. And, my students, I used to say, when you meet somebody like this, what do you do? And they go, you leave. But sometimes you can't, because sometimes your children marry them.
Sometimes it's your boss.
Sometimes it's your boss. Sometimes it's your next door neighbor. So it's really good, first of all, to know there's lots of them and be vigilant.
Let's talk about the critical people. Those people that find something wrong with you in every way, shape, or form.
Those are the people that are self-deprecating and they don't take responsibility for it, so they have to give it to you. When I was a little girl, I asked my mother about that, and she said, there's people in this world who build themselves up by tearing other people down. And it's called projection. If I can get rid of my bad feelings about me by attributing to you, and you're going to be so generous and stupid, you're going to say, oh, it must be me. then I've accomplished my goal of to dispose of my bad feelings about myself.
Right, right.
And so I always say when people have criticism to give me, I always say, thank you very much. I'd like to write that down. That I was taught to do this in graduate school. Because first of all, you're not looking at them, you're doing something. And what they were told me, they said they've just given you a weather report of how they feel.
Oh, okay.
Because it's called the crooked finger. When anytime somebody says you, they're really talking about themselves.
Mm-hmm. And the victims, the helpless.
Well, all I can tell you is what they told us day one of graduate school. They said, how many of you are here to help people? Every one of our little stupid hands went up. And they said, well, you can't. And what you have to realize is most of the people you're going to encounter are helpless, and you can't help the helpless. And so you have to learn when somebody is moving from helpless to being able to be helped.
Right.
And the helpless stance is really the borderline side of a narcissistic character disorder. They take no responsibility, they don't learn the lesson, and they just repeat the situation over and over
Right, and you
again.
say, do this, and they don't do
No.
it, and they keep complaining about the same thing.
Well, that's what the first thing they taught us. They said, ask somebody, how long have you had this problem and what have you done about it? If it's a long-term problem, they've done nothing, or they've done 2 or 3 things that make sense. It's a hot potato. Don't tell them anything. Just say, I don't know. It's a mystery to me, but if you can think of something, I'm supportive to you.
Yeah, I mean, after the third time, I don't repeat
Or
it.
as a therapist, if someone comes in with a problem, I ask them that question. And if it's appropriate, I give them one thing to do. And then if they don't do it, that's it. I know. You can't help the helpless.
Well, what about those people who are envious or jealous? I mean, it's 2 different things, but
No,
they're related.
it's not 2 different things.
It's the same thing?
It's based upon a concept that I read in a book called Finite and Infinite Games. It's about the filter you put on reality. If you see the world as unlimited and you can be part of that unlimitedness, you aren't jealous or envious. But if you see it as a limited option and somebody got your share and therefore you can't, then you're going to have the tendency to have jealousy and resentment about what other people have. People who see the world as infinite say, oh, you've got that? You must know how to do it. Could you share it with me? Or maybe if I get next to you, some of that's going to rub off on me. Mm-hmm. And generally, generous people will help other people.
Right, right. Let's talk about the arrogant. We see that a lot in politics
Yes,
today.
we do.
The arrogance.
That's the typical narcissistic character disorder on steroids. It's called megalomania narcissism. And it's an actual pathology. And it's all about, I feel so small inside because I'm empty, I'm too compulsively extroverted. I don't have any root system. I'm like a tree that's going to fall over in a rainstorm. And so I have to inflate myself. It's called inflation. So that I will be larger than I think I am and larger than you want me to be so that I can overpower you. It's a power dynamic.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, the 3 times that I lost my job, I was stabbed
Only
in the
3?
back.
I lost every job I had from age 16 to 28.
I need to learn from you.
Oh, next. I know. That's how I went into business.
The 3 times I lost my job, I was stabbed in the back by friends, by
Well,
people
not
who
by
I thought
friends.
were friends.
Yeah.
This is another issue that shocked me because these were really good friends.
Well, you thought so, but here's my 5 questions to attribute to a friend. First thing I ask somebody, what's the worst thing that ever happened to you and how did you get over it? If nothing's happened or you didn't get over it, you can't be my friend because you're not going to be friendly.
Right.
Number 2, what do you enjoy doing when you're not working? If you don't have any interest, you're not going to be my friend. Number 3, what do you like to do when you're alone? If you're never alone, you're a dependent personality and you're going to be hostile. You're not going to be my friend. 4, tell me about your friends. I don't have any friends. Well, I guess I'm not going to be one either. So you have to audition your friends. It's not about association or common stuff. It's about what's on the inside. You don't shop for the wrapping paper.
Did you do number 5? I'm
Number
so
5
excited.
is, tell me about your relationship with your mother because that's your first home, your first relationship. If somebody said, oh, my mother's perfect, I think, oh, you're still in the idealization stage, or you can't be my friend. Or if they say, oh, I hated my mother and she's a bitch, and I say, I don't guess you can be my friend either because you're too hateful.
All right, well, Nan Linke, as always, entertaining and wise. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
joining
much
us
for
in
having me.
Passion Time. Thanks.
Okay.